Chosen one, the air around you feels different right now, as if a quiet vault has been unlocked somewhere beyond sight, and its echo has reached your chest before your thoughts could catch it. There is no announcement, no flashing sign, just a subtle recognition, like a name softly spoken in a crowded room that somehow reaches only you. Listen closely. This is not about currency or numbers. It is about acknowledgement. A reward does not always arrive as something you can hold. Sometimes it arrives as permission, sometimes as timing, sometimes as access that was always meant for you, waiting for the right alignment to turn the key. You may have sensed it recently, a gentle pull, a strange calm mixed with anticipation, as if something that once felt distant has quietly moved closer without making noise. Stay present. This moment is not rushing you. It is inviting you. Picture a bank not built of stone or steel, but of order. A place where intentions are stored, where patience accrues interest, where resilience is recorded even when no one is watching. Your name is known there, not written in ink, but in recognition. This is why certain paths closed without explanation, why shortcuts never quite worked, why you were guided to build quietly while others seemed to collect loudly. Let this land. What was being protected was not lack. It was precision. You were being shaped to carry something without distortion, to receive without losing yourself, to hold without gripping. The reward spoken of in this chapter is not dropped into your hands. It is released when you arrive as yourself, steady and aligned. Notice how the scene has shifted. The background noise softens. The spotlight narrows. The script slows not to delay, but to deepen. You are not late. You were never overlooked. You were being timed. Heaven does not misplace what it marks. It places it where recognition will not corrupt it. There is a reason this message meets you now. Not earlier, not later, now. You don't need to prove readiness. You don't need to perform belief. Your presence here is the signature. Feel the difference between wanting and knowing. Wanting reaches. Knowing receives. This unfolding is calm on purpose. What comes next must fit into your life without breaking it. Must settle without chaos. Must arrive with clarity, not shock. Stay with this feeling. Not excitement, not fear. Recognition. Like standing before a door you've seen many times, suddenly aware it was always yours, and today it finally acknowledges you back. No instructions are being given. No demands are being made. Only a quiet confirmation. What was stored has not expired. This is the first movement, the establishing shot. The camera pulls in just enough to show you that the story has already started shifting beneath your feet. You may not see the full shape yet. You are not meant to, not in this part. For now, it is enough to know that what was held in reserve was never withheld from you. It was held for you. And as this scene settles, as the light steadies, something remains deliberately unsaid, waiting just beyond the next breath. Chosen one, something subtle has begun moving behind the curtain. Not loudly, not urgently, but with the confidence of a system that knows exactly where everything belongs. This is the phase most people miss. Not because it is hidden, but because it does not announce itself. Momentum does not always feel like speed. Sometimes it feels like quiet cooperation, like resistance easing without explanation. You may notice fewer inner arguments, fewer moments of forcing, decisions settling faster than before. Stay present. That is not coincidence. That is alignment recognizing alignment. When a reward is prepared with care, it does not arrive through surprise alone. It arrives through readiness meeting opportunity at the same point in time. Behind what you can see, adjustments are being made. Doors not yet opened are already unlocked. Paths not yet walked are already cleared. Let this sink in. Nothing is scrambling to catch up. Nothing is being rushed into place. This movement is deliberate, measured, exact. There was a season when effort felt heavy, when progress required convincing the world you were worthy to advance. That season taught endurance, not because endurance was the goal, but because steadiness was required for what comes next. Notice how the pressure has shifted, not gone, just refined. The weight you carry now feels different, less like burden, more like responsibility you can stand inside. This is how preparation reveals itself, not through applause but through inner permission. The bank named in the story is not impressed by noise. It responds to consistency, to restraint, to the ability to hold vision without announcing it prematurely. Your presence has been recorded, your patience acknowledged, your restraint noted. Stay with this moment. You are not being tested anymore. You are being positioned. A new chapter does not begin with chaos. It begins with coherence. Everything aligning just enough to allow movement without resistance. You might feel moments of stillness between actions. Do not mistake that for delay. That is synchronization. Timing is not about speed. It is about fit. Heaven does not release what cannot yet be integrated. What arrives must enhance your life, not fracture it. This is why calm surrounds this phase, why clarity replaces urgency, why intuition speaks louder than planning. Listen closely. The shift is internal before it becomes visible. Always, the scene continues to narrow. The background fades. Your awareness sharpens. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming uninterrupted. When the door finally opens wider, it will feel familiar, not overwhelming, not foreign, because you have already been standing in front of it, learning how to arrive without reaching. For now, allow the movement to continue unseen. Allow the orchestration to remain quiet. Allow trust to replace anticipation. This part is not meant to conclude anything. It is meant to stabilize you for what follows. And as the motion continues beneath the surface, one detail remains just out of frame, waiting for the next shift to bring it into view. Chosen one, there is a moment when what has been quietly accumulating begins to recognize its moment of release, not through force, but through harmony finally completing its shape. This is that threshold, not loud, not dramatic, precise. You may feel a gentle lift, as if gravity has slightly changed its mind about you, as if the ground beneath your certainty has grown more stable. Listen closely. This is not arrival yet. This is confirmation. What was stored has matured. What was delayed has organized itself. What was scattered has learned where to land. The reward spoken of does not rush in. It steps forward with composure. It respects the environment it enters. This is how you know it is aligned. Nothing about it feels invasive. Nothing demands urgency. Nothing disrupts your inner order. Stay present. Notice how your attention sharpens instead of splintering, how your breath deepens instead of quickening. That is the signal. Not excitement, clarity. There was a time when recognition would have unsettled you, when access might have distorted your pace. That version of you is no longer needed. What stands here now is capable of receiving without collapsing into noise, capable of holding without clenching, capable of moving without rushing. The bank in the story responds to this state. It opens when balance is met with balance. You may not see the form yet. That is intentional. The first gift is not the thing itself. It is the assurance that the system knows you. Let this land gently. Nothing is being demanded. Nothing is being taken. Only acknowledged. You are not stepping into something uncertain. You are stepping into something prepared. And if this moment resonates quietly within you, you are welcome to leave a simple comment. Not to explain, not to prove, just to mark that you felt it. You can also share this with someone who might need the same reassurance, someone standing near their own threshold without words for it. And if you'd like to stay connected as this unfolding continues, subscribing is simply an option, a way to remain nearby as the chapters progress. Now return to stillness. Let the noise fall back. Let the scene breathe again. This part was never meant to reveal everything, only to steady you before the next movement. The vault does not empty all at once. It opens in harmony with your capacity to receive. And as the light holds, as the moment lingers, one final detail remains just beyond sight, waiting for the next turn of the story to invite it forward. Chosen one, the silence you feel now is not emptiness. It is the sound a system makes when everything has settled into its rightful place. Nothing is asking for your attention. Nothing is pulling at you. And that is how you know the alignment is holding. This is the part of the story where movement becomes effortless, where what once required intention now flows without instruction. Listen closely. Ease is not a loss of importance. Ease is a sign of mastery. You may notice how your reactions have softened, how situations no longer demand explanations from you, how trust has replaced the need to check, recheck, and anticipate. This is not detachment. It is certainty. The reward mentioned in this chapter was never meant to interrupt your life. It was meant to integrate into it, to arrive as something that belongs, not something that overwhelms. Stay present. The scene is widening again. What once felt like a narrow passage now opens into space. Not chaos. Room. Room to choose without urgency. Room to move without resistance. Room to receive without suspicion. This is where many stories rush ahead. This one does not, because what is unfolding here values sustainability over spectacle, continuity over intensity, depth over display. The unseen structure continues to support you. You do not need to manage it. You do not need to monitor it. Your role is simpler now. Remain coherent. Notice how your intuition no longer shouts, confirms. It nudges. It aligns instead of warns. That shift did not happen overnight. It is the result of every moment you chose restraint over reaction. Every time you stayed steady when noise invited you to scatter. Let this recognition settle. You earned this calm without striving for it. The bank in the story does not release in bursts. It releases in rhythm. And rhythm requires trust on both sides. You are trusted now. Not because you asked, but because you became consistent. The environment around you begins to respond differently. Not dramatically, subtly. Conversations change tone. Opportunities approach without pressure. Timing feels less accidental. Do not analyze this. Analysis pulls you out of alignment. Presence keeps you in it. Stay here. This is the chapter where confidence stops performing and starts existing. You are not being elevated above others. You are being placed exactly where you fit. That distinction matters. Elevation without grounding destabilizes. Placement creates longevity. As this part draws to a close, there is no announcement, no reveal, no final statement. Only a sense that something solid has locked into place behind you, supporting every step forward before you take it. The story is not ending. It is simplifying. And just beyond the stillness, something prepared, something precise, waits patiently, ready to move when the next moment calls it into view. Chosen one, there comes a point when the story no longer needs reassurance, because reassurance has quietly become your natural state. You are standing inside that point now. Nothing is asking you to hurry. Nothing is asking you to wait. The pressure to interpret every sign has eased. Listen closely. This is what confirmation feels like when it no longer needs proof. What was once imagined as distant now feels integrated. Not announced. Not displayed. Simply present, like a foundation you suddenly notice has been holding you all along. This is the chapter where movement becomes subtle again. Not because nothing is happening, but because what is happening no longer needs attention to function. The bank spoken of earlier does not feel external anymore. It feels internalized, as if access has shifted from request to recognition. You may sense a steadier rhythm in your days, a quieter authority in your decisions, a calm refusal to chase what once demanded pursuit. Stay present. This is not indifference. This is discernment. The reward for being chosen was never meant to separate you from life. It was meant to anchor you more deeply into it. Notice how your energy preserves itself now, how you invest without overextending, how you receive without suspicion. That balance did not arrive by accident. It is the signature of alignment settling into permanence. There was a time when visibility would have distracted you, when sudden access might have distorted your pace. That timing passed intentionally. What emerges now does so without distortion, without urgency, without noise. The scene feels almost ordinary. That is how you know it is real. Extraordinary moments often announce themselves. Enduring ones simply integrate. Heaven does not always mark its work with spectacle. Sometimes it marks it with sustainability. You are no longer standing at the door. You are inside the structure, moving through it without needing to check the walls. Let this land. The story has crossed from anticipation into embodiment. You may still sense more ahead. That is true, but it no longer feels like distance. It feels like continuation. There is no rush toward the next reveal. Because what is unfolding now will not vanish if you look away. It is stable. This is where trust deepens into familiarity, where belief dissolves into knowing, where effort relaxes into rhythm. You are not being watched to see if you can handle what comes next. You are being supported because you already have. As this part reaches its pause, nothing needs to be concluded. Nothing needs to be claimed, only acknowledged. The system holds. The alignment remains. The story continues forward without strain. And just ahead, not loud, not sudden, but unmistakably prepared, the next movement waits, ready to emerge when you step naturally into it. Chosen one, there is a calm certainty that arrives when the path no longer asks you to look over your shoulder, because everything behind you has already taken its proper place. You can feel it now, not as excitement, as steadiness. Listen closely. This is what continuation feels like when nothing needs to be proven. The story has reached a phase where outcomes stop being imagined and start being trusted. Not because they are visible, but because your position within the unfolding is secure. You are no longer measuring distance. You are moving within direction. The scene is quieter here. The kind of quiet that only appears after things have settled correctly. No tension in the air. No anticipation pulling you forward. Stay present. This stillness is active. The reward you sensed earlier is no longer something approaching. It is something circulating, flowing through timing, through access, through decisions that now open naturally instead of being forced open. This is how integration looks. Nothing arrives as interruption. Everything arrives as fit. You may notice how less explanation is required, how fewer words carry more weight, how your presence speaks before you do. That is not dominance. It is coherence. The system recognizes what is stable. It responds to what can sustain. That recognition is no longer theoretical. The bank in this story is no longer a place you imagine. It is a principle you operate within. A quiet assurance that what you need arrives when it aligns with who you are. Let this sink in. You are not waiting for confirmation anymore. You are living from it. Notice how urgency no longer motivates you, how fear has lost its leverage, how comparison feels irrelevant. That shift did not happen suddenly. It is the accumulation of every moment you chose patience when reaction was easier. Every time you trusted timing instead of forcing outcome. This chapter carries a different tone. Not build-up, not release, continuation, the kind that sustains momentum without strain. The camera does not zoom in or out here. It holds, allowing the scene to speak through balance rather than drama. You are not meant to announce this phase. It is meant to support you quietly, to hold you steady as movement continues without disruption. Heaven works this way when something is meant to last. It removes the need for constant reassurance. It replaces signals with structure. Stay with that feeling, the absence of noise, the presence of grounding. Nothing is slipping away. Nothing is being tested. Nothing is being rushed. What you carry now is not expectation. It is alignment in motion. The story has not reached its peak, but it has reached reliability. And reliability changes everything. As this part settles, as the rhythm holds, as the direction remains clear without instruction, one more layer waits ahead, not to surprise you, but to confirm what has already been quietly true. Just beyond the next shift. Chosen one, the sense of being carried without being pushed is not an illusion. It is the signature of something finally moving at your pace. You are no longer adjusting yourself to fit the moment. The moment is adjusting itself around you. Listen closely. This is the sound of trust deepening into permanence. Where there was once effort, there is now coordination. Where there was once waiting, there is now continuity. Nothing jumps ahead. Nothing lags behind. The story has reached a level where confirmation no longer needs repetition. It exists as atmosphere, as tone, as a quiet assurance that does not leave when attention shifts. Stay present. This part is subtle by design. You may notice how outcomes feel less surprising, not because they are predictable, but because they arrive with familiarity, as if they already belong to your life before appearing. This is what alignment looks like when it stabilizes. It stops performing. It starts supporting. The reward spoken of earlier has not disappeared into abstraction. It has become structural. It holds weight because it holds you. There is a difference between receiving something and being able to keep it without tension. You are in the second space now. The scene carries a grounded light, not spotlight, daylight, the kind that reveals without exaggeration, the kind that allows growth without urgency. Heaven often confirms its work by removing drama, by replacing signs with systems, by allowing life to feel livable again. Let this settle. What is unfolding does not need guarding. It needs participation. You may find yourself choosing with less debate, moving with fewer second guesses, trusting without rehearsing outcomes. That is not carelessness. That is coherence in motion. The bank in this story does not need constant access checks. Once alignment is established, flow becomes assumed. You are no longer standing in anticipation. You are moving inside continuation. And continuation does not announce itself, it sustains. Notice how your sense of self feels quieter but firmer. Less defined by reaction. More defined by presence. That is the internal signal that the foundation has set. This chapter does not add weight. It distributes it evenly, allowing you to stand without leaning forward or back. Stay with this pace. There is no advantage in speeding up now. Precision lives here.